You want a true American voice, right? Something that grabs you right by the shirt in the first few lines and makes you think, wait, what the hell just happened here? Well, here goes. Let me tell you my story straight up, like you and I are sitting out on a porch, coffee and hand air, a little too cold, and neither of us is going anywhere for a while. I'll never forget that drive back up the mountain, the way the trees peeled back, and there it was. My cabin, my so-called 6-acre slice of Colorado peace. Except that day it looked less like a home and more like the opening shot from a low-budget crime show. No kidding, I half expected yellow tape. But it wasn't even police tape worse. Big vinyl banners, ugly orange, flapping around like they were warning people to stay away from a biohazard. Danger, abandoned structure. Property under review. I mean, come on. My name wasn't even on it. Just some HOA logo stamped and laminated, zip-tied to my front gate like I'd died and nobody bothered to tell me. Let me back up a second. I'd been gone for 8 weeks, down in Arizona doing contract work. Surveying bridges, mostly standing in the sun, dreaming of this place, my cabin, just waiting for me to come home and breathe again. I've left the place for longer before, never locked every window, every bolt, every single trip. Never even crossed my mind that I'd come back and find it claimed by a bunch of suburban bandits with a printer and too much time. So yeah, my boots hit the gravel hard. First thing, door was still locked, deadbolt solid. Good. But above the porch, the camera I always left running, just gone. Only a busted bracket swinging there like a broken finger. Pulled out my phone to check the cabin feed, nothing. Whole system wiped. Like it never existed. Even the signs I'd hammered in myself, the ones that warned about surveillance and told folks to turn around, gone. Posts bent, roots ripped out like someone was in a real hurry or just pissed off. I took a lap around, breathing in that cold air, and that's when I saw the survey markers, new bright pink, driven into the dirt by people who clearly never learned to mind their own business. Someone had been here, and they weren't just passing through. And right on my front door, laminated for good measure, a warning sign by some Karen Stanford, acting president of the Deerwood Ridge HOA. Like that meant anything to me. I'd never even heard of her. Here's the thing. My land isn't in the HOA. Never was. My granddad bought this land before there were roads, before someone had the bright idea to build a clubhouse and charge people monthly fees for the privilege of existing. The deed's been in my family for decades, filed, recorded, watertight. The HOA has no right, no say, nothing. I know it, they know it, or they should. That's what pissed me off the most. They did it anyway. Like if they acted confident enough, nobody would stop them. You ever get that kind of slow-burning anger, the kind that makes you quiet? That was me right then, walking around taking photos of every scrap, every scuff, every sign, time-stamped, geotagged, just in case. Before I even called the HOA, I called the sheriff. Old habit, my dad always said, call the law before you call the neighbor. Deputy Roston rolled up 40 minutes later. Good guy. Saw me through renovations 5 years back. He took one look at those signs and just shook his head. Lucas, what in God's name is all this? You tell me, I said, handing him that laminated notice. You're not part of Deerwood Ridge. Never have been. And they know it. Hell, they've known it since disco was a thing. He whistled, walked the property with me, took his own photos. I'll write this up as trespass and tampering. You better talk to the county and your lawyer, though. This is starting to smell like someone's trying to steal your land. Wasn't the first time someone said those words to me, but it hit different hearing it from a guy with a badge. Now, I should mention out here, neighbor means anybody within half a mile. My closest was Jerry Oldtimer. Telescope on his porch always had a story. I headed over, asked him if he'd seen anything. Bunch of clipboard types, he grunted. Lady with fancy boots barking orders. Claimed your place was dangerous. Said not for long. I just stared. Did you call me? Shoulda, he shrugged. Figured you'd show up before they got bold. Back at the cabin, I spent the whole night backing up every photo, every document, all the satellite logs, anything that could prove I'd been there, lived there, paid every tax bill on time. I knew the signs were just the start. Next day, coffee in hand, I drove straight to the county records office. The clerk, a tired kid named Miguel, typed in my parcel number, squinted at the screen, and frowned. There's a weird flag here. Looks like someone filed a temporary override on your status. Expired, but it says, Community jurisdiction pending verification of abandonment claim. My blood went cold. Who filed it? He pulled up a digital signature. J. Reynolds, internal credentials. I asked who that was. Turns out junior clerk. Not the kind to make big moves without orders. Something in me clicked. Karen Stanford, that name on the sign she'd bragged to Jerry she had a relative in permitting. Guess I just met him in a way. I got my printouts, all the receipts, called my attorney next. Sheila, former military, sharper than half the county's lawyers put together. She looked over the paperwork, said, they filed under Rule 12B. Community can request control if land is truly abandoned or delinquent. But you're paid up. This is phishing. Fake claim, hoping the system glitches. We put together a formal complaint, locked down any more changes. She sent cease and desist letters to the HOA. But I could feel it, this wasn't over. People like Karen don't back down. They escalate. I spent that afternoon turning my cabin into a bunker. New cameras, backups, real-time motion sensors. You'd think I was prepping for a siege. Maybe I was. That night, my inbox pinged a PDF from an anonymous address. HOA internal memo leaked. It spelled it out. My property unsupervised, unmaintained, ready for reclamation. Budget attached for demolition scheduled for the end of the month. Karen's signature at the bottom. They'd already lined up a contractor. Now, I wasn't just mad. I was scared. The kind of scared that keeps you up at night, every shadow in the tree line looking like headlights, every creak of the cabin making your heart skip. First light, I hired a private investigator. Dean Hayes. Guy looked like he could snap a clipboard in half with one hand. Sheila vouched for him. Ex-Navy, knew more about property fraud than any suit in Denver. He went through everything. Asked for my old surveillance logs, even the broken ones. We'll start with the clerk, he said. There's always a log, always a trail. Dean didn't talk much, but he got things done. Found out Reynolds, the clerk, had used admin access to flag my land. Not just mine. 3 others, all next to the HOA. All filed, flagged, then withdrawn when the owners fought back. Mine was the first they tried to demo. As for the demolition crew, real company, yes. Run by Karen's husband. Small world, huh? The real twist, Dean got an email from a whistleblower on the HOA board, someone who still had a conscience. In it, Karen said, if we get 1 more week without interference, we proceed with cleanup. Legal risk is manageable. She'd even sent around photos of my cabin with Target Area A written in red. That was it for me. Sheila filed for an emergency restraining order. We locked it down tight. No changes, no demolition, no funny business until a judge said otherwise. But Karen wasn't done. The next morning, county zoning office handed me a land use map, my parcel marked pending review. Annotated in pen, not official. Who gave you this, the clerk asked. Turned out the document was uploaded by Karen's niece. She was running a forgery ring right out of the HOA. I sat there that night staring out at the mountains. It was bigger than my cabin now. This was about who gets to decide what's yours and what's theirs. A few days later, I caught them in the act. 2 SUVs, a van marked Fire Risk Inspection Unit. Karen, front and center, sunglasses, acting like she owned the place. Tried to bluff her way past the injunction with a fake inspection. I filmed the whole thing. When she realized the sheriff was watching too, she slunk back to her car, face twisted up like she'd bitten into a lemon. It got uglier. They kept at it, new notices, new teams, even made up a department called Community Oversight Unit to make their threats sound official. I traced it fake. The county clerk had never heard of them. They even forged stamps, county seals, whole letters. I sent it all to Dean and Sheila. DA's office opened a criminal investigation. And you know what? Karen doubled down. More fake notices, more intimidation. Even tried breaking in once, cut the cameras, smashed a solar panel, left an unsigned flyer on the mailbox, unsafe dwelling. Do not enter. But she'd left tire tracks match the same trucks from the phony inspection. Within a week, search warrants dropped. They raided Karen's house, the HOA office, that fake committee's headquarters, which, by the way, was just the old clubhouse. Emails came pouring out, Karen and her family planning to grab any property left vacant more than a month. Fake complaints, fake claims, even fake deaths. They wanted it all. They'd done this before too. 4 other landowners came forward, all of us blindsided. The DA built a case: fraud, conspiracy, impersonation, racketeering, the whole 9 yards. The courtroom wasn't dramatic, no yelling, no grand speeches, just rows of wood people too tired to pretend they cared, except every eye was on Karen. She crossed her arms, tried to act bored. The judge wasn't buying it. Neither was the jury. The evidence was too much: deleted videos, forged flyers, digital logs, testimony from her own nephew who flipped the minute his name came up in court. When the verdict dropped guilty on every count, it felt like something uncoiled in my chest. Karen got 17 years. 10 in federal prison, 7 on conditions. Her nephew probation banned from ever holding public office. The HOA was dissolved assets, frozen clubhouse to be sold to pay restitution. And me, I got my land back officially, plus 240 grand for the trouble. Not that the money mattered. What mattered was the principle nobody gets to decide your worth or your home just because they want to. The county even passed new rules. Now no property can be labeled abandoned without real certified contact. HOAs have to register their borders with the county, no more fake maps, no more shadow games. You want the best part? I got the cabin listed as a heritage site. It's official now. Oldest standing ranger cabin in the county. I put up a new plaque inlaid in concrete. Private land not subject to HOA. Trespassers will be photographed, documented, prosecuted. No more community projects here. Just me, my cabin, and a line nobody crosses. I still get emails almost every week. People from all over Oregon, Utah, Tennessee asking how I did it, how to fight back. Some just want to say thanks. I went down to the law school, talked to a bunch of students about land rights. Never thought I'd be the guy teaching anybody anything. I'm not a hero. I just wanted to be left alone. So that's it. That's how a bunch of laminated signs and cheap threats almost stole my life out from under me, and how I shoved it all back in their faces. Let me ask you, where's the line for you? Is it the mailbox, the deed? Or is it the moment some stranger says, this is ours now, and you realize if you don't stand up, nobody will? I'd love to hear your take. What would you have done? Have you ever had to fight back when someone tried to take what's yours? Let me know. I'm all ears. Sometimes you got to draw your own lines and pray to God nobody's dumb enough to cross them.